The following is a production of Stevenson Media. Want to tip the host? Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Get a free Houston Sports State of the Union podcast t-shirt with a donation of $50 or more.
This is the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of Houston Sports Nation, Nick Stevenson.
My goodness, thank you so much. Please be seated, my fellow Houstonians. Welcome to this Houston Sports State of the Union address for the week of January 12th. I am the self-appointed president of Houston Sports, Nick Stevenson. As always, there are a million different things you could be doing this evening, but if you chose to spend a little bit of time with me, I do appreciate it. On tonight's show, the Houston Texans will face the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round of the playoffs tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Can they do the unthinkable? Do the Houston Texans have a chance to stop the Chiefs from making history? I will give you all of the reasons I think the Texans have a puncher's chance. You will have an opportunity to watch the game tomorrow with not only myself, but there will be several Houston sports content creators at Tejas Brewery. I'll give you more details on that later in the show, but come hang out with me. Come meet my fellow twin Toro, Ruben, and several other of your favorite Houston sports content creators. Lastly, the Houston Rockets, they had a heartbreaking loss last night. However, I know the Rockets are past moral victories, but I want to tell you why I was actually encouraged by the game we saw last night against the Sacramento Kings. Now, I appreciate you guys being here. Once again, let me remind you of the ways that you can support the show. The one thing, number one, you're doing right now. You're watching, you're listening. Hopefully by now you are sharing with your friends, your family, your fellow Houston Texans, Houston Astros, Houston Rockets fans. Let them know about the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast. I would love to continue to do this show and share and celebrate Houston sports with all of you. Some of you who are here in the chat right now, I appreciate you guys so much. Do me a favor, hit that share button and share with some of your friends. Let's have a discussion tonight about the Houston Texans, about our Houston Rockets, and maybe even a little bit of Astros talk. I know you guys are really looking forward to the baseball season getting started in just a couple of months. That's the number one way you can support me is please continue to watch, continue to listen, and share. If you are watching the video, there's a QR code right here in the bottom corner. If you are listening or you're not able to scan that QR code, I will leave a link to the QR code, to my tip jar in the description, show notes of this video. If you guys want to leave me a tip, if you're enjoying the show and you want to leave a little something, I appreciate it. If you send me a donation of $50 or more, I will send you some Houston Sports State of the Union podcast swag of your choice. If you want a t-shirt, you want a hat, you want a hoodie, just let me know. Remember to please screenshot that donation. Send it to me either in my DMs. Some of you have my phone number personally, or you can email it to me at hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com. Also, I will be putting some affiliate links in the description and show notes of this video once the show is finished, to some affiliate links of Houston Sports fan gear and affiliate links for the equipment I use to bring you this fine podcast. Anytime you guys purchase anything with those affiliate links, I get a little bit of change from that, and I really do appreciate it. Anything you donate to me goes right back into this show so I can continue bringing you guys great content. Lastly, if you're interested in doing sponsorship of either this show or the Twin Toros podcast, those of you who are not familiar, I do a Houston Texans podcast in affiliation with ESPN Houston and 713 Houston Sports. If you're interested in sponsoring that show or the show that you're watching currently, please reach out to me at hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com, or you can hit me up in my DMs of my socials. So those are the ways you can support the show. But those of you who are here, I appreciate so much. I see Arturo Beckett. I see Josh Beard in the comments on what are they on YouTube? I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys watch the show, I just want you to know you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, X. I'm trying to put this show in as many places as possible. As a matter of fact, make sure we got the Instagram going. Yep, Instagram is live also. So if you guys want to catch the show there, I really, really do appreciate that. But let's get into it, guys. You know what we're here for. Let's do the state of the Houston Texans. Ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Texans are headed to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, to take on the defending champion, the two-time defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs. I think somehow we probably all knew it would come down to this eventually, whether it be in the divisional round or some of us hopeful that our Houston Texans would make it to the AFC Championship and possibly have to face these Kansas City Chiefs. But I think it's been known all season long that the road to the Super Bowl was going to have to go through Kansas City. I don't know if any of you are fans of Nick Wright. He used to do local radio here in Houston. He now has his own show on Fox Sports on FS1. He calls the AFC Championship game, I apologize, the Kansas City Invitational. And why not? The Kansas City Chiefs are a dynasty already. They are a force to be reckoned with. They have to be respected. There's not going to be any shortcuts, and there's no misunderstandings or misgivings about the daunting task ahead of the Houston Texans tomorrow. However, and I know we probably say this every year, but this season, the Houston Texans have already played the Kansas City Chiefs once. You guys probably remember that game. It was painful for more than one reason. Obviously, losing by 8 points was painful. That's also the game where you lost Tank Dell for the season. But I think that the Houston Texans were able to get a good look at what it would be like to play the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. The weather was cold. And that's the reason I give the Houston Texans a fighting chance for tomorrow. Number one, I want to go back to last week and what we saw them do in the wild card round versus the Chargers. I learned some things about this team that maybe I should have known, but throughout the course of this season, they had some ups and downs. And so maybe I hadn't been convinced yet of these things, but I'm telling you right now, number one, the Houston Texans defense is truly elite. And that's the reason I give them a fighting chance tomorrow. Because if this defense plays anything close to what they played last week, I'm telling you, they will have a chance to win this football game. Danico Autry in the middle. You have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. on the outside. You have the two corners, Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr., who might be the best cornerback in football. Add on top of that, Azeez Al-Shaair, who did not play in the first game that we played versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Christian Harris will be playing this game. You have a healthy front seven right now. And you've got a secondary that's been feeding off of that front seven, getting to the quarterback. Now, Patrick Mahomes obviously is not Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert may not be Justin Herbert, depending on who you ask. The Houston Texans have done a good job of making good quarterbacks look bad this season. They even got to Patrick Mahomes in the regular season game. Unfortunately, it got called back because of a BS penalty, but the Houston Texans have an opportunity to do something once again that they've never done before, and that is get to an AFC Championship game. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. Will it probably be the most difficult task that they have faced up to this point? Yes, it will be. But I'm honestly telling you, I believe it can be done. The number two reason I think they have a fighting chance, and what I learned about this team against the Chargers, CJ Stroud still has the ability to put that Superman cape on. He went 22 of 33 for 282 yards, a touchdown, and an interception that, in my opinion, he was trying to throw the ball away. He could have done a better job of that. He's going to have to play a lot cleaner in the game tomorrow. But we saw from the moment that he picked up the fumbled snap and kept the play alive and found Xavier Hutchinson over the middle to convert a 3rd and 16, something changed. A switch was flipped in CJ Stroud. He looked different from that moment forward. He looked like the rookie CJ Stroud that we saw last season, confident. When he ran that 27-yard run and he's pounding his chest, it just looked like he's back. And you hope so. And here's the thing. The Texans have nothing to lose. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is expecting them to go win this game. Stephen A. Smith on First Take gives the Houston Texans no chance. Rex Ryan, who said that the Houston Texans were a bye week for the Chargers last week, credit to him, he apologized for that. And he said, hey, if I'd have known that you were going to play the way you played against the Chargers, I'd have picked you to win the Super Bowl. He immediately followed that up with saying, but I'm not picking you next week either. And he didn't even know at that point who the Texans were playing. But now we know that they're going to be playing the two-time defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, it's so difficult to say they're not the same old Chiefs because they won 15 games, for goodness sake. But most of the games that they won were very close games, and they could have been beaten. And I don't want to bang this drum about the Kansas City Chiefs and the and the referees, but every game I've watched the Chiefs this season, I don't watch all of their games, granted, but every game that I watched them play this season, there was some terrible call that helped them out and contributed to them winning a close game. I'm not trying to take away anything from them. I'm not saying that they are not a great football team. Every game. Excuse me. I got multiple videos playing at once here. I'm not saying they're not a great football team, but I feel like they're gettable. And something about this, and maybe it's just my romantic heart, something about this feels like destiny for the Houston Texans. And because I'm thinking about everything this team has gone through this year, I'm thinking about 2020, 24-0 versus these Kansas City Chiefs. And it's just like, how poetic would it be for CJ Stroud? You know, in 2020, when we went to Arrowhead, we had the butt-rubbing massage therapist groping Deshaun Watson, who probably, once we figured out who he was as a person and what he's been doing, maybe he didn't deserve to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But now we have Christ Jesus Stroud on our side, a man of God, a man of principle. And how poetic would it be for him to come and resurrect the Houston Texans from that awful loss that they suffered to the Kansas City Chiefs back in 2020. Look, man, I know the odds. My man Ruben, when we're doing Twin Toros, he keeps saying, don't tell me the odds. I already know what they are. But I don't know, man. Something just feels different about tomorrow. And I love the fact that nobody's giving the Houston Texans a chance to win this game. Because whenever you don't give them a chance, that's when I start feeling like maybe there is a chance. It's going to be difficult, though. There's some injury reports. The injury report is out, and unfortunately, there's some names on it that worry me a little bit. Azeez Al-Shaair is listed as questionable. Joe Mixon is listed as questionable. There was a couple other questionables, but they were not major contributors at all. Those are the two big ones that make me a little bit nervous. And I'm wondering how you guys are feeling about the Houston Texans' chances tomorrow. Now, listen, obviously, if Azeez and Joe Mixon don't play tomorrow, I mean, listen, the Texans are already behind the 8 ball. If they don't play tomorrow, that's going to be a problem. Because unlike Justin Herbert, the reason I think Azeez Al-Shaair is going to be so important is because Patrick Mahomes isn't going to just stand there like a statue. If he gets pressured up the middle or if he gets pressured off the edges, he's going to climb the pocket and he's able to escape and get some running yards. And that's when you need Azeez Al-Shaair to step up and make a legal hit, but a hard hit on the quarterback anytime he has the opportunity. And I'm not saying that Neville Hewitt can't do that, but Azeez Al-Shaair is the captain of this defense for a reason. The defense I'm honestly not worried about. I thought they played fairly well in the regular season game. I think they missed Azeez. I think they missed Mario Edwards played. It was Danico Autry who didn't play. And it was Fatou Kassi who also did not play. I mean, that's huge. Those are big for the Houston Texans. Those are big absences in that game. And that's why I'm saying just something feels different, man. But listen, the Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites. I think that's what the line was the last time I checked. Once again, the Texans find themselves as the underdogs. Here's the thing. Can they step up another level from what they did against the Chargers? Here's what I do know. They're not going to be able to start slow the way they started against the Chargers. We need CJ Stroud to be the CJ Stroud he was last week from the very first snap. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to be making an effort to eliminate Nico Collins from this game. Who else on this team is going to be able to step up? I've got my eyes on Dalton Schultz, the only other player left on this team with at least 500 receiving yards. I'm looking at John Mechie. John Mechie, you could have had a good game last week. I think the fumble on the very first play of the game probably made most people feel like you didn't have a great game. You did have 4 catches, 28 yards, and you made some plays. We need those players to step up because I'm pretty sure Trent McDuffie is going to be following Nico Collins this entire game. And I like Nico's chances to make some plays, but is he going to be able to dominate the game the way he did against the Chargers? That I don't think so. Listen, guys, the Houston Texans can win this game. They can. Will they? That's yet to be seen, but all I know is that I'm a Houston Texans fan, and I'm going to ride or die, and I'm going to stay optimistic until I have no reason to be optimistic. I'm not ready to start doing shows talking about the NFL draft. I'm ready to see the Houston Texans have an effect on the history of this game. Because, listen, I don't know if it's in the NFL's best interest or not for the Kansas City Chiefs to three-peat. It's never been done before, so maybe the NFL has an interest in raising up one of these teams as the greatest team of all time. I don't know. I said this on the Twin Toros, and I'm going to say it now. If the Houston Texans are going to win this game, they're going to have to win it by more than one score. Because if it's close, you guys know that the referees can make up the difference in a hurry for this Kansas City Chiefs team. So my score prediction, and I'm not saying this sounds bad, if the Texans win, I predict the score to be 27-17. If they get into a close game, I just don't know. Not that I don't believe that they can win close games. I just don't know that the referee is going to allow the Kansas City Chiefs to win by the skin of their teeth. I'm sorry, to lose by the skin of their teeth. They've helped them win by the skin of their teeth multiple times this season. So what is the state of the Houston Texans? I told you I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. I believe they have a puncher's chance. I understand it's going to be a difficult task. I would not be surprised if the Houston Texans do not win tomorrow. And that's my question for you guys. I'm not going to ask you, will you be surprised? Because I don't think anybody would be surprised. But if the Houston Texans do not win the game tomorrow, will you consider this a failed season? If you're watching live, I'd love to have that discussion in the chat. If you're not able to catch the chat, you guys know that you can always reach me on my socials. Go to the Houston Sports Nation Facebook page. Let me know how you feel about it there. Are you going to feel like this is a failed season if the Houston Texans lose tomorrow? I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because I have been saying that if the Texans don't win 2 playoff games, this is a failed season. That being said, I can't just put everything in a box. Because if they lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, a team that only lost 2 games, and one of them is because they didn't play anybody, probably the greatest football team, at least in the modern era, has a chance to become the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. It's going to be hard to be upset and feel like the Texans failed, especially considering all of the injuries that they have right now. And I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but you would feel a lot better about their chances in this game if you had Tank Dell, if you had Stephon Diggs. Hell, if you had Brevin Jordan, if you had Cade Stover. Cade Stover is on IR now, so he will not be playing in this game tomorrow. The Texans are dealing with a lot of injuries. So I want to know how you guys are feeling about it. Brian Herrera says, yeah, if they lose, it won't be a close one, I think. I agree with you. I don't know. If it is close, I feel like there's a better chance for them to lose. I think if they win this game, they're going to have to win at least by 10 points or more. It's going to have to be by 2 scores. He says, yeah, it's a failed season, but I don't lose hope because I think Nick can fix the O-line. Look at what he did with the DB group. 100%. And I'm glad you said that because we haven't been talking about Nick Caserio a lot, at least not on this show and not on the Twin Toros. We haven't been. But he deserves some credit for, considering all the injuries that the Texans had, they won 10 games again, back-to-back 10-game seasons, 10-win seasons, excuse me. The Texans haven't done that since 2019. And I think last year, the Texans overachieving made us possibly, and this really sounds like an off-season discussion, so I don't want to go too far into it, but maybe we were just a little too hopeful about what the Houston Texans could accomplish this year. We're going to have to talk about that in the offseason. Hopefully the offseason does not start tomorrow because I am optimistic that this Houston Texans team has a puncher's chance because of the defense, because of CJ Stroud, and let me give some credit to DeMeco Ryans. Now, DeMeco, you're going up against 2 of the best coaches to ever coach this game, and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. What do you got, man? What do you got up your sleeve? You're going to have to pull that ace out because this is a litmus test for you. This is a measuring stick game for you. How do you measure up to one of the best coaches to ever do it? You have an opportunity here, DeMeco, to put yourself in that upper echelon of coaches. I'm so happy DeMeco Ryans is the coach of this team. He was mic'd up for the Chargers game. I loved every bit of it. I believe in DeMeco. I believe in what Nick Caserio is doing. I believe in what the McNair's vision for this team of the future is. Listen, man, the Houston Texans are in the Elite 8. They're trying to make it to the Final Four. There's a bunch of other football teams that would love to be in the position that our team is in. We're playing football tomorrow, guys, in Kansas City. It's going to be so dope. I'm super excited. Guys, we're going to be, myself, Ruben Calvillo, my partner for the Twin Toros podcast, we're going to be at Tejas Brewery. It's 2101 Summer Street. We will be there for the game. I'm probably going to get there around 2:30. We're going to get our stuff set up, and we're going to be doing a live stream from the game. But we want as many Houston Texans fans as possible to pull up to us at Tejas Brewery on Summer Street. Pull up, man. Come say hi. I'll have an extra microphone there. You might even get to sit down and talk to the Houston fans a little bit. We need everybody to swarm over at Tejas Brewery for this Houston Texans team. I'm looking so forward to meeting some of you that I've talked to here in the chat or talked to over on Ruben's channel, but have not gotten the opportunity to meet you in person yet. So that is going to be really, really awesome. Once again, that's Tejas Brewery in Houston. It's 2101 Summer Street. It's Houston, Texas, 77007. I'm looking so forward to that event, man. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be dope. So you guys come out there, check us out. Win or lose, it's going to be a celebration. That's for sure. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on, if you will, to the state of the Houston Rockets. Okay, the Houston Rockets are 27-13 after last night's heartbreaking loss to the Sacramento Kings. Especially heartbreaking for me because I was covering that game for the Dream Shake last night. It didn't start till 9 o'clock. I didn't post the final recap story until about midnight. So I was up super late, and it would have been, it's always worth it. I'm blessed to be able to write for the Dream Shake. I'm blessed to be able to cover the Houston Rockets as a media member. but it'd have been a little bit better if they'd have won the game. But it was a close game. It was an awesome game. Prior to that, the Rockets had won 5 straight. In their last 10, they're 6-4. They've got a pretty tough stretch coming up. They're going to play Cleveland twice. Cleveland has the best record in the NBA. They're going to play Detroit in Detroit, and Detroit's been on a tear recently. Cade Cunningham is probably going to be an all-star this year. Then they have to play at Boston, at Atlanta, and at Memphis. Actually, the Detroit game is here in Houston. So yeah, we need to swarm for that one as well. The Detroit game is in Houston, but they're going to play at Boston and at Atlanta and then at Memphis. So this is all after they play the Blazers tomorrow. So you got to beat the Blazers tomorrow because the Blazers are trash. And you got some really tough games coming up. And currently the Rockets still sit in second place in the Western Conference, the better conference of the two conferences of the NBA. I don't think anybody that's a Rockets fan saw that coming. You can lie and say, yeah, I thought they would be a top 2 team. We thought they'd be better. We were hoping they'd be playing in bottom of the playoff picture. But you're a third of the way through the season. You're almost to the halfway point. You're getting close. And here the Houston Rockets sit in second place. I didn't see it coming. Now, there's some people who believe that because the Houston Rockets are maybe ahead of schedule, that they need to make a move, make a trade for some all-star caliber or for a big piece to push them over the top. I don't think that's the case. And I know the Rockets lost last night. And they're far beyond having, moral victories. But first of all, the Sacramento Kings, ever since they fired their head coach, Mike Brown, and Doug Christie took over, they've been really good. I think they're like 8-2 since he's taken over now. That is a good quality team. They were a good quality team last year. It appears maybe they just needed a different voice from a head coach, but that's a good quality team. And the Rockets were on the second night of a back-to-back on the road. Listen, in the NBA, that's usually what we would call a scheduled loss. And some people who watch that game, maybe they feel like, hey, the Rockets obviously treated it like a scheduled loss. Did you watch the first 3 quarters? That's not what I saw. What I saw is a team that went out there and they fought. They got behind by double digits multiple times and they kept fighting back. Listen, Amen Thompson, since he's been in the starting lineup, is amazing. Şengün balled out in the fourth quarter. Jalen Green balled out in the fourth quarter. And that's really the reason that I don't think this team needs to make any moves, because I saw their 2 best players last night, albeit in a game that they lost, take over in the fourth quarter and put this team on their back. Jalen Green was fantastic. Jalen Green was incredible. In last night's game, he had 28 points. I believe he shot 50% from the field, 50% from 3. He was incredible. He's been incredible for a while now. Let me tell you, his last 8 games, 22 points, 27 points, 33, 29, 27, 42, 34, 28. He's been incredible, and he's been efficient. And listen, I know we've seen this from Jalen Green before, and those of you who watch my content on a regular basis, you know how I feel about Jalen Green. I've been saying for 2 years now, wait for Jalen Green, because when he finally figures it out, he is going to be a top 5 player in this league. And the way he's playing right now, I can't think of another player other than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who's playing better than Jalen Green over the last 2-3 weeks. Now, like I said, we have seen this from him before. He's been very streaky at times. He'll look amazing. He has the ultimate highs and the ultimate lows. Here's why I feel like, I don't even know if I can explain why I feel like it's different. It just feels different to me. Number one, he's playing great defense in addition to his offense. You couldn't say that about him in the past. He would have his great streaks offensively, but he was not a consistent defensive player. He has become a very, very good and a very, very consistent defensive player, even on the nights where he doesn't have it offensively. He's going to give you effort on defense, and he's going to play defense very well. To me, I think he's playing smarter. He's taking better shots. He's making good decisions with the ball. He's become more prudent in his decision making on whether I dish the ball or attack the basket. He's still getting a few too many turnovers, but the dude's 22 years old. I'm telling you, Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and Amen Thompson have a chance to be the Houston Rockets' next big three. You don't need to make a move. And, we've talked about this on this show multiple times. Even Rafael Stone has come out to the media and said, we're not trying to make any moves. He said, I would be shocked if we did anything. And I don't know, other than Victor Wembanyama being offered to the Houston Rockets, I don't know about anybody in the NBA that I say, yeah, let's get rid of our core for that person. Not Anthony Edwards, not even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, definitely not Giannis, definitely not Kevin Durant. And for the love of God, please know, Jimmy Butler? Hell no. For some reason, for a while there, the Rockets were the favorites to land Jimmy Butler, and that scared the crap out of me. So what did I do? I immediately went to the Dream Shake, and I wrote this article. Rockets should stay away from Jimmy Butler at all costs. If you guys don't read the Dream Shake, don't follow the Dream Shake, please go. The subscription is free. There's a bunch of really good staff writers there. I'm maybe a little bit biased because I'm one of them. But the Dream Shake is a great website, great Rockets content. There's great followers, great subscribers. We watch the game together sometimes in the game thread. There's some really cool and interesting people in there. Excuse me. Pushed the wrong button there for a second. But yeah, I wrote that article immediately when I saw that the Rockets were the favorites. Actually, by the time I published it, they had moved down to like the 5th best odds to land Jimmy Butler. And I said, thank God. I don't want anything to do with Jimmy Butler on this team. You guys go read that article and you'll find out all of the reasons that I don't want him here. Brian Herrera says no to Jimmy as well. Thank you. I know I'm not the only one. If you've been paying attention to this team, Brian, then you know that they have the potential to produce their own superstars. Even Tari Eason, who hasn't played in almost a month, came back and had a really good game last night. Cam Whitmore has been really, really good. I'm telling you, man, I'm really glad that the GM has said, listen, we want to watch this team play it out this year. See how far they can get as constructed. And then in the offseason, you might have to make some decisions about what you want to do. But the Rockets are in a great position, man. Just leave my Rockets alone, please. The Rockets are fine as is. Are they going to have some rough patches this year? Yes. Last night was one of them. They've had a couple of losses that they shouldn't have lost. Poor execution in the fourth quarter. But that's going to happen with young teams. Also, forgot to mention, Fred VanVleet didn't play last night. And the Rockets scored 127 points without Fred VanVleet. So they figured out a way to get the offense going. It was a little bit late. And the defense, I don't even know that the defense was bad. I think that the Sacramento Kings just got really hot. It was a good game. It would have been an even better game if the Rockets had won. But all that being said, I don't think they need to make any moves for any stars. I think, and I believe, the state of the Houston Rockets is strong. Guys, I thank you so much for tuning in to the show tonight, spending some time with me. Brian, Arturo, Josh Beard, thank you guys so much for joining the chat. I would love for you guys to come back next week and watch the show again, and let's continue these conversations. I'm open to taking phone calls as well, so if you guys keep swarming into the show while I'm doing it live, I've been debating on whether I stop doing the show live and start doing pre-recorded, only because I haven't had the opportunity to have very many people in the chat recently. But whenever people show up in the chat or whenever people, call in, I love it. It is my favorite thing to do, to talk, to celebrate Houston sports with all of you. It's the reason I started this show. And what a better time to be a Houston sports podcaster than now. That's why I hope all of you guys get an opportunity once again, come out to Tejas Brewery tomorrow to watch the game. I'll be up there around 2:30, 3 o'clock, setting everything up. My man Ruben's going to be there. Harley Dugan will be there. Houston Stressens is going to be there. AD, all of your favorite Houston sports content creators will be at Tejas Brewery watching the game. We're going to be doing a live play-by-play. My man Ruben He takes care of that because he's so good at it and he's so passionate about this team. I can't wait to see what happens, man. I'm really, 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 really hoping that the Houston Texans shock the world tomorrow. And it would be even greater if we could watch them shock the world together. So you guys make sure you come out to that. But once again, to everybody who tuned into the show tonight, thank you so much. Let me remind you one more time of the ways you can continue to support this show. One of them you've been doing all night, and I appreciate it. Watch, you listen, you share with your friends and family. That's the best thing you can do for me is just share my content. Tell your friends about the content and let them know that I do a live show. I love talking to Houston. I love celebrating Houston sports with all of you. Another way to support the show, if you can scan this QR code in the corner, that will lead you to my tip jar. If you can't scan it, I will be, as soon as this live is over, I will be dropping the link to my tip jar in the description of this video. And if you leave me a donation of $50 or more, I'm going to send you a t-shirt, a hat, a hoodie, anything you want with the Houston Sports State of the Union logo on it. I'm just trying to get the brand out there, and I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. I'll also put affiliate links in the description. There will be links to Houston Sports fan gear. If you're going to go to the game and say, hey, man, I need a new t-shirt, a new jacket, a new hat, a new hoodie, I'm going to put some links in the description where they're Amazon links, where if you purchase any of that gear with my Amazon link, then I'll make a little bit of a commission on that, and that'll go right back into the show. Also, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, having me represent your business, I would love to do so. Hit me up at hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com. Or if you're following me on the socials, which I will have a link tree in the description of this video as well, with all of my social media and everywhere you can consume the show. Hit me up in my DMs or email, once again, hsstateoftheunionpod@gmail.com. Let's talk about sponsorship. Let's talk about me representing your business. Let's talk about growing our businesses together. Guys, immediately after the game, I'm coming home. I'm packing up my things. I am going out of the country for a week. My wife and I are going on a much, much needed, much, much deserved vacation. We're going on a cruise to Montego Bay. I believe we're going to Grand Cayman, and I believe we're going to Cozumel. It is going to be amazing. I can't wait. But when I get back, and I mean as soon as I get back, the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast will continue. The Twin Toros will continue. In the meantime, you know what I want you to do. I want you to stay 10 toes down for H-Town. I love you, and good night.
This has been the Houston Sports State of the Union podcast, hosted by Nick Stevenson. Tune in next week for more news and analysis of your favorite Houston teams. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, the app formerly known as Twitter, if that's even really still a thing. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.